Hi, I'm Brian Towey. I'm a candidate for Hood River City Council, and I'm here today talking with Gretchen Goss. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me. We know each other through the group Engage the Gorge, but we've never really sat down, just you and I, to talk about issues that of a political nature or anything that we care about personally. So, you know, we're both interested in transparency and public access to information, as that's a core purpose of Engage. So the reason I wanted to talk to you is that you're someone raising a young family in Hood River, and I'd like to know what challenges you face as Hood River grows and you grow with it. So the format of the interview is going to be 3 questions. We're going to try to get it done in 15 minutes, and hopefully we'll learn something about your history and your perspectives as someone who's been living in Hood River. So first, if you would tell me about your family and your work and anything else that you'd like to share, and you could start with your parents and go from there.
I was born in White Salmon because the Hood River Hospital was teeny tiny at that point. Born in White Salmon, grew up in Hood River. My great-grandparents moved here in the 50s and started the stationery store, and sold. My family owned and ran that until late 70s. The sign out front was designed by my grandma, so that's kind of fun. It's nice to see that every time we go by. My husband also grew up in Hood River. I'm married into basically half of the Upper Valley without realizing it. A lot of orchardists, farmers. I graduated from Hood River High School, left for college to the East Coast, went to grad school in the UK, and then returned and met my husband and settled down here. And now we've got 3 kids going on 9, 7, and 5. And we're just trying to live the dream in Hood River.
Okay, so to that, what are your favorite things about living in Hood River? And as someone who's been paying attention to local issues, where do you think the city could do better?
Okay, well, originally my plan was to always live in a city, and it wasn't until I was in grad school and I was walking through a park in London near my flat and realized my favorite thing about London were the green spaces. And that's kind of when I started realizing that, maybe small town life might actually be more suited for me. And when we got married, we decided to come back to Hood River, and then our parents all live here, so our family's here. And having kids, we wanted our kids to have a great relationship with our parents. I love the small town feel of Hood River. I love that it's not far from Seattle or Portland or the eastern side of Oregon, which has a lot of the cool Oregon history. And we like exploring out in nature and going down to the water. It's just a great small town.
Gotcha. So as far as what the city government itself does, so I, as someone who's interested in affecting policy at the city and have my own attitudes and feelings about what could be done better, what are yours? Do you have any specific places that you think that we could do a better job?
Yeah. So I've obviously watched Hood River grow a ton. I remember when Adams Loop was an orchard and it was the new big fancy development. That was kind of the first big neighborhood.
So where is Adams Loop?
Adams Loop is over off of Belmont. St. Charles leads to Adams Loop, so it's right over near West Side School. And
right,
just
20th, 22nd,
yes,
that area.
Yes. And then over where we live, off of 3rd and Cameo, they've built 98 houses around us in the last 4 years. So for me, the inevitable growth of Hood River is something to be taken very seriously. That includes infrastructure and zoning. I wanted to live in a small town. I don't want to live in a small town with I want to have space. That's why people move to rural areas, is for space. And so I worry about high density pushing in on every piece of land in Hood River and taking away that kind of lovely rural community feel.
Okay, so Cameo for so I know these things from having done some canvassing and political campaigns. I think that is back behind Rose Hours.
It's back
maybe.
behind Rose Hours, yeah.
So that's fairly recent development.
Mm-hmm.
So what is you mentioned open space. What is the open space situation back there? You've got a trail that runs through there.
The Indian Creek Trail runs over on Elliott Park, which is 4 blocks north. In building the 98 houses, there is one small lot they turned into a park, Culbertson Park. And we went to all the city council meetings when this development was going through. And there was a lot of outcry for another park to be built. And the pushback was very much, oh, no one uses it. You have the trail, which is fine, but when you have itty bitty kids, you're not always taking them on the trail. Sometimes you want to take them to a park in a neighborhood that's a little bit safer. It's not off a cliff. You're not going to run into people. It's just going to be a little bit quieter and calmer for little kids.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I mean, what I remember of that park is when in that neighborhood, you often see a kid riding their bike around the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
There's some grass and
Yeah.
there's a pathway and there's it's got sidewalks and things.
Yeah.
So the process of trying to get another park in that area, what is it that you think the city could have done in that case that would have been better for the neighborhood?
I feel like the city was very quick to say, oh, people don't use it. To the community members, oh, we hear you, but we don't necessarily value what you're saying or care to look further into it. So when people bring concerns like that to the city council, being able to say, okay, well, let's do a study and take a look at how often that park is used and take a look at how many people are actually living in that area. How many people can use a park in a day, and kind of figure that out rather than just say, oh, well, we drive by it once and it wasn't busy, so your point doesn't count, which is how it felt quite a bit.
Yeah. So I remember that, especially as those neighborhoods were developed. It seems to me it started in the early 2000s. Those were the affordable homes, and it seems there's a pretty good mix. It's a pretty diverse neighborhood as far as housing types and things like that. So you live back there. Do you own a home, or are you renting?
We rent.
Okay.
We rent from it. We currently live in what was my grandma's house. She tried to sell it when I was in college, and that was when the market tanked and no one bought it, which worked out really well for us because finding housing in Hood River is a problem. And so my parents own it now, and we rent from my parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think you would do if you didn't have a relationship
That house.
where you right? If you didn't have that house, what
We'd probably move out of the area because there's just not. We both work full-time jobs, but they're not high-paying jobs, and with the cost of childcare and the cost of Hood River in general, we wouldn't be able to afford what is asked of rent in this area. So we'd be moving.
Okay. Well, so that gets me to my third question. I'm having more follow-up questions than I thought I would have. So housing access has been the number one stated goal of the Hood River City Council for many years. It's apparent to me that the goal was crafted to support a pretty specific and pretty narrow set of policy choices that the council wanted to push us toward. So what do you think the city could do? What policies would help to prevent a family like yours from having to move from the area if you wanted to stay here to be close to family? Do you have any ideas, suggestions that would make things better for a family like yours?
I think the housing piece in Hood River that's missing is kind of that starter home piece, where people who grew up here, young people who are moving here, can actually afford, like at this point in Hood River, maybe like $300,000 to $350,000 home that you can afford to invest some money and some time in, and then sell and move up. There's no way to start low and slowly move up into a bigger home. In Hood River, you just kind of buy big. And so for us, well, one, we would need jobs that pay a little higher. Hood River doesn't have a huge job market necessarily for people to support the housing costs here. And there just need to be more houses available to purchase at a lower pricing point, whether that's cutting down the cost of building permits, making that faster so contractors aren't getting stalled out on projects that are costing a lot more money than they were originally supposed to. It's a tough decision because Hood River, there's only so much space.
Right. So your view would be, and I think I probably share this, is that anything that can be done to make the cost of owning a home go down from an administrative level, so permits and the cost of building, to make the cost of building less is something that you think would be helpful.
I think it's a great starting point.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't demand someone sell their land for cheaper, but you can cut the costs on the administrative side.
Okay. So are you familiar with anything the city has done in particular to address that? Because I mean, there have been some policies that they've done. Are you aware?
I'm not.
Okay.
I have a hard time staying completely in step with the city council because I work full time and have 3 little kids, so I can't make meetings all the time. And up until COVID, there wasn't a great way to listen into meetings live. I would still love to see them live stream it so that I could watch it later, but we're not there yet.
Okay. Well, it seems that we've come up with maybe at least a couple of topics that could be explored in more depth, and I very much appreciate you taking the time to chat, and I hope that we get to do it again sometime soon.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.